Welcome to this remote Latin America video. Today I'm going to talk about Santa Cruz 2, a vessel on the Galapagos Islands, and also briefly about Ecuador. My name is Klaus Filch, and I'm a product manager, and I used to be for 14 years a guide and an expedition leader, both in mainland Ecuador and in the Galapagos Islands. Now, Galapagos Islands is part of Ecuador. It's a long distance away into the Pacific Ocean. Ecuador is the only gateway to the Galapagos Islands. Going to or coming from is always Ecuador. All flights originate in Quito, stop briefly in Guayaquil, and from there they move to the Galapagos Islands. This is the only long flight we have in Ecuador, at a distance about New York to Chicago, a little bit under 2 hours time. Now, Ecuador has tons of things that you could do and see before and or after a trip to the Galapagos Islands. I'll talk briefly about that towards the end of the video. In the meantime, Galapagos, a group of 19 islands, volcanic in nature and far from the mass tourism. And it is absolutely stunning. The place that inspired Charles Darwin on his epic voyage in 1835. Now, you do have a lot of vessels to choose from. If you choose us, one thing is for certain, we have ideal and excellent itineraries. We designed them from the guiding point of view. Now, there's a lot of animals you can see in Galapagos. Most of them are endemic to the islands. All of them, of course, are fascinating. But how do you discern some that are even more interesting than the others? We made a survey with guides and expedition leaders to narrow down to 15, the most iconic species. We call them the Big 15. Now, our itineraries are designed such a way that you get to see as many Big 15s as possible. In 2 weeks, we do have 4 different itineraries. 2 4-night itineraries and 1 6-night itinerary. Now, we can show you many more species in a 4-night itinerary than most of the vessels will show you in 7 nights, which is the usual length for Galapagos. Now, as you can see from these itineraries, they do crisscross over each other, and there's a lot of sailing that happens, especially at night. You should also know that we are carbon neutral in all of our operations in Galapagos. We divide the groups into small groups. Everybody who comes on board, Santa Cruz has a capacity of 90 passengers, and we have anywhere between 6 and 10 guides on a normal trip on board of the vessel. Also, we divide into groups. Our average size is 11 guests per guides. In pandemic times, we've been working with 8 guests per guides. And if we have families with children that want to join another family with children, we could do that. If we have people with a special interest about geology, about plants, about birds, some guests that want to spend less time talking about wildlife on the trails, but have more time for snorkeling, we can make these things. So we can break down our groups first by language, because our guides will never have to translate to a group everything that they explain by language, then by interest, by abilities, or by limitations, because as you can see, the volcanic nature of Galapagos makes some trails a little bit more demanding than the others. We are also family friendly year-round. We have activities for children on board. We call them the Young Pirates. The vessel is much too small for a kids club or something of that matter, but we do have activities on board, and these could be like a visit to the bridge, cooking lessons, and so on. So we're friendly not just for families, but for multi-generational groups. The most important person on our vessel is the expedition leader. He or she makes adjustments to the itineraries that have already been designed in order to cater the most out of that experience. If something unexpected is happening, like for instance, these whales, these are humpback whales, they're seasonal in Galapagos, but we have 23 species of whales in Galapagos, so they're visibly year-round. Something like that happens, or there's a volcanic eruption, or there's a group that is particularly interested in photography or in birds, or more active or less active, we can make adjustments to the itinerary, and this is the job of the expedition leader. On board, we have a large team of chefs, and this is one of our pride. The food is absolutely extraordinary. We do focus, of course, a lot on the Ecuadorian cuisine, on the regional South American cuisine, and of course, plenty of international dishes as well. Food is much more than a biological necessity. It is a very critical part of your experience. And this is the cabins. We have 4 types of cabins. In the upper left corner, you can see our Voyager. There's 2 cabins for 1 guest. And this is something that is very useful for somebody who's traveling solo, and here you don't have to be charged 80 or 100% for the solo surcharge. It's only 15 if you compare it to the double occupancy. Then there's plenty of double rooms. We have 2 family rooms, which is in the lower left corner, and these are ideal for families with children. And then we have also a couple of suites that you can see on the lower right corner. And there's plenty of cabins that are interconnected on the different styles. So for families traveling that wish to have these interconnecting doors, we do have plenty of those cabins as well. There's a lot of space on Santa Cruz. It is a vessel that was originally built to sail the fjords and channels of Tierra del Fuego, the Beagle Channel, the Magellan Strait, and Cape Horn in the southern tip of South America. So you can imagine this ship now sailing Galapagos is absolutely stable, seaworthy. And it's also very spacious because she was built for 131 guests. Now she can only take 90, so there's lots of room everywhere. But the best part is, of course, getting on shore on the excursions, on those top-notch itineraries. Small groups, with your naturalists, only one language, and to get to experience close up the nature and the behavior of the Galapagos Islands. When we're done with the walks, we offer a lot of activities. We have paddle boards, we have sit-on-top kayaks, as you can see here, glass bottom boats. I'm going to talk about that now. Because we have so many guides, more than what we really need, we can offer these options also simultaneously. If you want to do kayak in the places the park allows them, we do have, of course, safety briefings before these activities for both the safety of our travelers and also the safety of the Galapagos wildlife. There'll be plenty of opportunities for snorkeling, and for snorkeling, we do provide the snorkeling gear if you don't bring your own, and that includes fins, tubes, masks, mesh bags, vests, towels, and wetsuits. Wetsuits are for rental on board. They are 2 millimeters shorties. Now, if you don't bring your own gear and you're using our gear, you should also feel safe that the mouthpiece is a brand new mouthpiece that you get to unpack yourself for your safety. This is how you get in and out of the Zodiacs. It's a little ladder on the side, and the Zodiac operator and the naturalist to help you get in and out of the vessel. But some people prefer not to get into the water at all, and they do what we call this dry snorkeling or glass bottom boats. Very few vessels in Galapagos have this. This is basically a converted Boston whaler that is heavy, and when it drops into the water, displaces enough water so you don't see bubbles the entire time. You have a naturalist with you. There's a canopy on top so you will not see the sky reflecting, and it's a great and fun experience that even snorkelers choose, so they get to hear from a guide what are the names of the fish that we're looking at. In 1969, we started the operations in Galapagos with the very first vessel of Galapagos, and that was Lina A for 60 passengers. So we've been pioneers since then. Last year, in 2020, we were also the first ones to start operating with La Pinta in August 2020, and we have been operating steadily and consistently and flawlessly ever since then. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, getting to Galapagos, you have to go through Quito and Guayaquil to go to Galapagos. Now, there's tons of things that you get to do here, so it may be worth looking at it. Let me just briefly show you a few things we have. Aside of the 3 vessels in Galapagos and a hotel in Galapagos, we also have a hotel in the rainforest of Chocó. It used to be part of the Amazon, and a hotel in Quito called Casagrangotena. Casagrangotena is this property right in the center of this image in San Francisco Square. This is the heart of the city. This is the most tourist place. Before groups arrive, you're already here. When all the groups have left, you're still there in this most iconic spot of the city. It's a beautiful property, only 31 rooms, and really beautiful, has even a little spa. We have activities for our guests free of charge every day. Right now, these are all done indoors. And this includes cooking lessons with our chef or making your own chocolate. And this is a perfect way to end your day. Mashpee Lodge is only 110 kilometers away from the city of Quito in the Chocó, and it is the borderline between the rainforest and the cloud forest. So you have tons of things to see there. We have 418 species of birds. That's more than 1/4 of all the birds of Ecuador, and Ecuador is the 4th richest in the world. So you can imagine how rich this place is. And on the left, you can see how we've invested in this modern technology, novel ways to show you the rainforest. So I hope you have found this enticing, and we certainly hope that you come to see us soon, Ecuador and the Galapagos Islands. Again, my name is Klaus Filch, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you.